This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.
The final score, Wrexham 2, Maidenhead United 0. I've slept 3 hours in the last 34 hours, so I hope that wasn't a dream. I think we are equal top. Indeed, only kept off top spot on goals scored. We're level with Sutton and 11 on goal difference as well, and there was a nice little spell of around 10 minutes near the end of the match, and Wrexham were actually ahead. Sutton got a late second goal themselves to match Wrexham's 2-0 win and mean that, well, we stay second for now, but we'll take that. This halfway point in the season, things still shaping up pretty nicely, as Wrexham once again bounced back from defeat with a win. So only one time this season have we not won the next match after a loss, and that was against Orient when we led twice and probably should have closed that down anyway. So anyway, this was a match, quite frankly, which was determined to a great extent by the timing of Wrexham's goals, because Maidenhead really admirable in their approach to the game. They took the game to Wrexham. They caused us problems continually. Luckily for Wrexham, we scored a goal in the first half, which was against the run of play, and then we're able to be the better side as the half wore on. And then in the second half, even after Maidenhead went down to 10 men following a red card, we still had to battle away, and it wasn't until we got that 75th minute goal that you really felt we had a bit of breathing space. And even then there was life in the corpse. Maidenhead kept going, so massive credit to them, who really made Wrexham work hard. 3 changes to the Wrexham side. James Jennings came in at left back to replace his capable stand-in Mark Carrington. In midfield there was an interesting reconfiguration. Akil Wright was left out and Jack McCrath came in, which meant that Paul Rutherford moved over to the left-hand side and Marcus Kelly went into the middle. And then also, interestingly, up front, it was Scott Bowden who got the nod to replace Alex Reid, now as he's returned back to Fleetwood, rather than the Tumba Masanka Bowden, who has not started in any of the last 8 games. In fact, has only played 32 minutes in those matches. But he put in a strong performance up front and has certainly given Dean Keats something to think about as he looks at his attacking options in the weeks ahead. A dramatic start to the game. Within 41 seconds, Maidenhead had a shot on goal. Clifton driving forwards down the right channel and hitting a rather optimistic shot. In fact, Maidenhead were really not scared to have shots. They were losing off shots from all sorts of ambitious spots, and some of them caused Wrexham problems. This shot, on the occasion, was deflected and span in towards Dunn. But luckily for Wrexham, although it changed direction massively, the deflection also took a fair bit of pace off it, and Dunn was able to hold it low down to his left. But Dunn would be a busy goalkeeper, the busier goalkeeper, quite frankly, over the course of the match, and that wasn't the last time he'd be tested. Maidenhead were pressing terrifically hard, really closing Wrexham down, restricting space, and Wrexham was struggling to hang on to possession and struggling to really release balls over the top to try and stretch the game. So Maidenhead just putting a smothering blanket over the middle of the game. They had another opportunity from a set piece. Pritchard with a corner, which he stood up towards the far post 10 yards out. The ex-Wrexham midfielder Christian Smith, who had a really good game in the middle of the pitch, got up well and made good contact with a header, which he directed low towards the bottom left corner. Dunn did well to get across. I think he may have seen it a little late as well and made a good firm parry to push the ball away to safety. Then there was a nice breakaway by Maidenhead, who opened things up nicely with a switch to the left-hand side. Pritchard in space, running into the box, drove in across. He was looking to pull it across the face of goal to the far post. It took a horrible deflection and span into the side netting, just inches short of the near post. Dunn diving down, scrambling away to try and get to it. May have had it covered, but it was a dangerous moment, a moment which was fortunate for Wrexham, and its importance even greater in the 19th minute when Wrexham took the lead. A controversial one. Mark Edwards, the referee, he made a few peculiar little decisions. This one was littered with 50-50 calls he had to make. Firstly, it appeared that Bowden was fouled right in front of the dugout. Linesman gave nothing. The ball broke into the middle of the pitch. Wedgbury went in with a tremendous tackle, really launched himself in hard. Was it a foul though? I mean, I really would have to see the replay again. He certainly took no prisoners. It was a hell of a hard challenge. The ball spanned through to Rutherford and he helped her on quickly to Holroyd, who for me was just offside. But again, the flag stayed down. Wrexham had a 3-on-1 break. Holroyd was breaking into the right channel. He had two players marked by one in the middle. I wondered whether he'd play it in, but instead, intelligently, Holroyd just lashed it in early before the keeper could set himself and basically smashed it through Pentney and in to give Wrexham the lead and for Holroyd to have his 7th goal in 14 starts. Not a bad start to his Wrexham career. Pity he was injured for such a long chunk of the season, or he was surely be in double figures by now. Wrexham were inspired by that and started to push on. A couple of minutes later, they went close to making it 2. Good work by Rutherford, turning and helping the ball on Bowden 20 yards out, hitting a powerful drive which just skimmed the bar on the way over. But Maidenhead was soon back and attacking themselves. Pritchard from 25 yards out. He had a good game, Pritchard, hitting an unexpected volley, which Dunn had to lunge to his right again to parry with good strong wrists. And then a real opportunity for Maidenhead when James Jennings, who settled into the game but in the early stages made a couple of mistakes when coming back from injury, turned and played a poor back pass which sent Hyde one-on-one with Dunn. Now, credit to Dunn, he came very quickly off his line and forced Hyde into making a decision, and Hyde made the wrong decision. Basically, he was rolling across his body onto his left foot, but he clearly didn't want to use his left foot. He decided instead he'd rather hit it with his right. He got himself into a horrible tangle. His body shape was ridiculous, and so was his shot. He put it terribly wide of the left post from the right channel. When it was just a hideous finish. Really, if he was that desperate to use his right foot, he should have taken a touch and tried to go round Dunn and put it in from the angle, but well, bad decision making, and Wrexham profited from it, and they had the last chance of the half as well. Rutherford doing well to bring the ball down 25 yards out, squaring it on Holroyd with a powerful drive in the box, and Pentney had to lunge to his left to parry it. The ball slung back in, and Wrexham had a couple of shots from in and around the penalty area which were blocked, and so Wrexham finished the half strongly. You could not say that about how they started the half though, although it must be said within the opening seconds they nearly had an opportunity. Straight from the kick-off, the ball was played back to Clenima, and the centre-back dwelled on it. Woden tackled him, but unfortunately he just couldn't latch onto the loose ball to run through on goal. Within a minute though, Maidenhead had a real opportunity. Steer swinging in across, Odometi attacking it on the edge of the area and driving a powerful drive which slammed squarely into Pearson's chest, standing 6 yards out and ricocheted away to safety. Wrexham then on the breakaway, McCrath and Holroyd working it nicely. McCrath with a little give and go down the right hand side. He beat his man, swung a beautifully shaped cross in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and there was Bowden stretching, just couldn't control his header properly and put it wide. He sunk to his knees with his head in his hands. He's desperate for that first goal, Bowden, and that was an opportunity, but as Lucy mentioned in commentary, I think he mistimed his jump more than anything else really. It was a real chance, but he failed to put it anywhere near the target. Then on the hour, it was Maidenhead pushing on. Hyde with a terrific snapshot from the edge of the area on the turn, slamming in a shot. It just scraped to the right post as he tried to put it into the bottom corner. Dunn lunging with agility. It was really concerning. I must be honest, in commentary, I thought it had gone in. Now, just before then, though, was an incident which was about to become relevant. A long ball hung in to the far post into the Wrexham area, and Ryan Upward jumping for it with Jennings seemed to take him out in the air. Not seeing he had arms raised, but certainly clattered into him quite hard. The referee just waved it away. I did think it was a bit wild the way he jumped into it. Well, 2 minutes later, we would see him do it again with much more serious consequences. A long ball to the halfway line. Wedgbury jumped, Upward jumped. It was the far side of the pitch from us, but from my view of it, it looked like an arm went across Wedgbury and caught him either in the face or the throat. The referee, having first checked how Wedgbury was, he'd already had one lengthy spell of treatment and would have to go off, decided to give a straight red to Upwards. The first time an opponent has had a red card at the racecourse since March 2016, when Ryan Astles got sent off for Chester, of course, when Wrexham won the cross-border derby 3-0. So, a goal up against a side down to 10 men. Easy street for Wrexham? Absolutely not. Maidenhead admirable in the way that they just adjusted and carried on. They switched to a 4-1-3-1 and just continued to put the pressure on Wrexham. And really, I mean, all credit to them. If Wrexham weren't such a robust defensive side, they may well have hauled themselves back into the game. There was a bizarre incident 5 minutes after the red card, which could have pulled Maidenhead back into it. They'd had a good spell of pressure, a couple of shots in and around the area, spinning around and getting blocked. The ball came out in the end to the fullback, Rene Steer, and he was a good 20 yards out at least. He tried to plant a header back into the goalmouth, got it wrong, and it was just going, it seemed harmlessly through to Dunn, but Dunn couldn't get there in time to take it on the full. And once he let it bounce, he was in trouble. There was a backspin on it. It span up at Dunn. Dunn, backpedaling, suddenly found it skimming, hitting him in the chest, skimming up in the air. He was standing on a line, and he just about managed to stretch his arm up and claw the ball away and then bring it under control. A really ugly and scary moment for Wrexham, but one which Wrexham were able eventually to survive. With the extra man, Wrexham weren't really controlling the ball as such. They did have some opportunities. A corner from the right-hand side, slung in by Kelly. It was after a corner from the left, which Rutherford had slung in, and Massey had made a terrific defensive header right in front of Pentney to flick it away. Kelly's delivery from the right-hand side, again Massey in front of his keeper, heading it away, but McCrath, unmarked on the edge of the area, brought it down, had time to measure his shot, and didn't take advantage of that time, slashing it hideously over the bar. By my reckoning, 3 rows from the back of the stand, not a good finish. There was a feature of Wrexham's attacking play, actually. There was a succession of threatening corners, which would look like they were going to create some opportunity. None really did make too many clear-cut chances. Wrexham were crowding the keeper Pentney, who didn't really deal with them at all. In fact, it was his defenders jumping in front of him who had to get up and clear the danger. Pentney tried to be the creator soon afterwards. A free kick which he took in his own half, launching it up towards the edge of the area. Clerima flicking it on well. Pritchard running onto it at the far post. Dunn was quickly off his line and able to save at his feet, pushing it back onto the feet of the Maidenhead winger and putting it behind for the goal kick. And then the 75th minute came the decisive moment as Wrexham took that 2-goal lead. A free kick on the halfway line. Roberts launched it up towards the edge of the area. Pearson got it well, touched it on with his head. Jennings ran onto it from a tight angle, brought it down well, and managed to drive in a shot which beat the keeper. A lunging defender on the line got a touch, but could deflect it into the roof of the net, and Wrexham had a little bit of comfort, but still, just like a villain at the end of a movie. Just when you think they're dead, they keep coming back again. Maidenhead still kept pushing on, even though they were down to 10 men and 2 goals in arrears. They had a couple of opportunities before the game ended. A corner half cleared, Clifton standing up a really sweet ball across to the far post, and Kilman, a late substitute, who made a good impact on the left-hand side. On this occasion, after the set piece, popped up on the right and made contact with an excellent volley on the run, which just hit the side netting, just short of hitting the post, and this was behind for the goal kick. And then a couple of minutes later, Kilman on the left-hand side doing what he was brought on for, swinging in across, and another substitute, Emmanuel, the diving header from the edge of 6-yard box. Maybe should have done it better. He tried to put it back across Dunn and missed the target. Marks, the 3rd substitute involved in this move, lunging at it on the edge of 6-yard box, just couldn't quite get the touch that would have deflected it into the net. And so Wrexham are equal top, as they were when they came into this game, and have gained a couple of points on the team that beat them last, the Aldershot. But quite frankly, they had to battle like heck for that. It was an admirable performance from Maidenhead. Wrexham have done the double over them now, but in both games, they've really had to fight terrifically hard for that outcome. When you look at the outstanding performances, the centre-backs, both very, very impressive indeed, as we'll talk about in a moment. Roberts as well, sound at right back, and Dunn made a few good saves, notwithstanding the error he made from the header into the box from Steer. In midfield, Kelly adapted well, I thought, to being brought into a more central position. He battled away well too, and Wrexham didn't have the ball, and Wedgbury was just a moving roadblock, battling away, winning everything, showing terrific energy. He had to go off in the end. He took a bit of a battering, not just from the challenge which led to the red card, and I'm sure part of that battering was just because he was lunging in very hard on players. But yeah, admirable stuff all round. Holroyd's dropping off was good as well. He was trying to pull defenders out of shape, and the 2 wide men offered an impact as well. So very satisfactory result for Wrexham, but my goodness, Maidenhead really, really made them fight for it. To have a bit more analysis now, have a listen to what Lucy Scott and I had to say at the end of Callan FM's broadcast. So, Wrexham win 2-0 against Maidenhead United. They benefited from the red card decision, and huge credit to the visitors who, well, throughout were a threat. They started the game well. Wrexham, after taking a lead in the 19th minute through Chris Holroyd, did get more of a grip on the first half, but the second half, Maidenhead came at us hard again. And like I say, they should be applauded for that. They suffered a red card when Ryan Upwards took Wedgbury out in the air, but they still, with 10 men, pushed on, and Wrexham needed that 75th minute goal by James Jennings just to make absolutely certain of the victory. We're still waiting on the final score from Sutton. As things stand, they will be top of the table ahead of Wrexham on goals scored. Wrexham and Sutton are equal on goal difference. Both sides are winning 2-0. Well, Wrexham have won 2-0, I beg your pardon. And they're in 4 minutes of added time, Sutton. So anyway, let's focus just on this. Maidenhead asked us questions, Lucy, didn't they, quite frankly, but well, we showed resolve in managing to close her out.
Yeah, we really did. All credit to Maidenhead, especially after the red card, but we didn't crumble. We did have a spell of sloppiness, but we were so organised, so disciplined. Apart from Jennings' silly yellow card at the end, I think we're really starting to look like a team now, and overall it was a really good performance. And I know you're going to be asking me about man of the match, but as we've just talked about, I think there's quite a few candidates who had a really good game.
Well, before we jump onto that, Sutton have won 2-0, so we're second on goals scored, which you certainly will take at this halfway point in the season. And it was, okay, then let's have a look through the performances then, maybe before you pick man of the match. Who are your contenders?
My contenders, definitely Manny. I mean but we come to expect that of Manny. I don't think he made a mistake the entire game. But so is that unfair on Manny that we just expect such a high standard of him now? Wedgbury was everywhere until he was taken off to subbed, and he was in the war zone as well. Yeah. I think Rutherford had a really good game, didn't stop running again. Bowden, considering we said pre-match we didn't really even know he played in the other matches. For me, his is probably, I'd probably give him man of the match purely because his was such a big jump from how he's performed in the past to today, whereas Rutherford's had good games, Manny's had good games, Wedgbury has, Holroyd has a really good finish from Holroyd. So I'd probably give it to Bowden, to be honest, just because of how much I think he's improved, or not necessarily improved, but just because he started and he seems to be confident.
He certainly was a different man, I think, wasn't he? He was holding her up. He did well on the air on occasions. He had a couple of chances. Shame he wasn't able to take them. But
him and Holroyd linked up really well.
Yeah, their understanding was really nice, wasn't it? And like we saw in pre-season, little first-time flicks around the corner by Bowden, little bits of skill to hold the ball up and release it at the right time were coming off, and that was quite encouraging, that from him, wasn't it? So pleasing to see him step his game up in that manner.
Yeah, particularly with Reid going back to Fleetwood, and as again we discussed pre-match, Reid didn't have the best second half of the loan spell, but it's good because Bowden has stepped up there today and was in the game more than Reid had been in quite a while, and so I think, and we can see from the game why Masanka was coming on as an impact player, and like I said, Bowden and Holroyd linked up really well.
Yeah, it's interesting that he got the nod. He hasn't started in 8 games, he's only come on 3 times in those 8 games for a total of 32 minutes, so he's really not been, he's been unused sub in 5 of our last 8 matches. So interesting call to put him in there, and he came up trumps. Although, just to make you feel guilty, I'll point out, I don't know, I've kept a record of how many man of the matches we've kept this season. I don't know what I'll ever do with that. And Wedgbury's never had a man of the match this season from us.
Really?
Poor lad. Can't change your mind now. It's written in stone.
Yeah. He did have a good game though too. He did have a good game.
He did, didn't he? But Bowden, I think, to be fair to him, I think, as you say, that extra added emotional impact of the way that he needed a good performance and put it in, didn't he? Well, Kelly did well in the centre of the pitch as well.
Yeah, and I think starting is quite interesting because Kelly seems to be playing deeper than Wedgbury, whereas I would have had them the other way round. But again, it was effective. effective and it worked. And yeah, I think all credit to Dean and to Carl and Andy for the team they put out and the way they've set Wrexham up, because it'd be interested to know how many chances we did actually have, because I don't feel like we had that many, but we were clinical in the chances we did have. So whereas Maidenhead had more chances but just weren't clinical.
Yeah, that's a fair summation of the game, I think, wasn't it? A good effort by Maidenhead. They get credit from it, but Wrexham go or stay equal top of the table.
This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.